This person right here, did it again. I bought another organ. Sorry, Elke. I don't want to play with you anymore. No, I do. But let's take a peek at the Antonelli 2410. Oh yeah! Look at that little bad boy. It's so cute. And these keys are very, very nice. I mean, they feel a little plastic, but that's not too bad actually. Anyways, yeah, it's a small organ this time. There's no way I can fit like a third organ-sized organ in there. So this thing has no envelopes. This is probably the simplest an organ could get. So it's just a top octave generator fed by a master oscillator, which goes through some octave dividers, and then you have 1, 2, 3, and a little bit of an octave. And it's just square waves, and I think these are single. So as you can hear, it's just kind of a bit of a table hooter, square wave galore. And from what I'm going to guess, and this is going to be a wild guess, that the outputs of all the octave dividers simply go to the switches of the keys. When you press down on a key, it actually just connects to a bus bar which runs across all the keys. And that just goes through some filters, which you select with these switches over here. To the output. I mean, that's it. This thing is in good condition. It's fully working. I tested it at the seller's place. Of course, there's some minor things. There's the note numbers F, G, A, C, D, E. I'm gonna need to remove that. I think I'll use this. And other than that, it is fully working. Everything works and sounds absolutely great. There's not even a scratch on the potentiometers, which is incredibly surprising. I guess I'm gonna try and take it apart and see what's inside, because I'm actually really curious what kind of architecture this organ uses. That's... Ooh! Oh, that's adorable! Yeah. Well, that's really neat though. There we go. So that's it. Just 4 screws on the sides. These long ass screws, and there you go. You're in like Flynn. And you need to grab the vacuum cleaner because you have dust allergies and you'll probably die. There you go, now you have a better view of the insides, which are absolutely frigging adorable. I think actually most of the magic is happening under the keyboard. Oh, and the headphones and power sockets are at the bottom of the thing, so if you have it on the table, good luck! Quite different than the schematic that I had for the Antonelli 2376, which seemed to be like a close relative to this one, but yeah, I guess it was not, because this already looks quite different. Power supply itself is super simple, got a transformer. Oh, 7815. There we go, classic power regulator, 7815. So that's 15 volts then. That's output. I don't see any other regulators, so I think the voltage and power supply scheme is exactly the same as the other Antonelli organ, of which I have schematics for. So I have 3 screws under here. going to remove. Now I could just turn it on its back. Isn't that much easier? It's just. Oh God! Oh! Oh no! Oh, my allergies! Oh no! Oh no! Somebody play a funeral song. Wow, that was very dusty. They're literally just balls of dust the size of my fist in there. Okay, from left to right. It's everything under the keyboard. So, by the looks of this is a few electronics in here, and here are switches. So there's probably some passive filters and maybe a buffer in there, maybe an op-amp. But the real magic, yeah, that's happening here. Now, let's see here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 SAA 1005 frequency dividers. So these are special chips made for organs. The Elka has pretty much the exact same ones, and they're really just a bunch of flip-flops which take an input frequency and output a frequency that's half that. It's all square waves, of course, because technically they're digital circuits, but they're used for analog square waves. As does every organ out of this era, the 70s and some even in the 80s. Now, there is one IC, which is a bit of a mystery. There we go. So it is upside down, but I'm gonna need to Google this. Just that, a top octave generator, which takes a 1 or 2 megahertz clock signal and divides it down into 12 frequencies for the top octave. And those frequencies are then divided by these 4. And then when you press keys, that goes to the bus bar, which eventually leads to probably this output here. Somewhere. It goes to this port with the filters and to the speaker and the headphone output. An interesting thing to notice that there are 2 bus bars here. I don't know if you can see it. There, I can see it a little bit better. So one bus bar is connected to what seems to be ground, which makes sense for the schematic. And when you press a key, it connects to the front bus bar. Now, these bus bars are split down the middle here. There's a little gap here, a little gaparoo. So, it seems that this bus bar is for the lowest octave, which has the accompaniment, which is gated by the snare drum, as we heard earlier. And then this other bus bar is the output for the rest of the keys. And that goes to this wire over here and to this wire over here. You know, I was staring at the main action over here, and I totally forgot the secondary action over here. So this is where all the drum related switches and everything are connected to. And there's a bunch of circuitry on here. So I think these are actually the drum generators. I know what this is. This holds the rhythms. It's probably some sort of ROM of some kind. Here's the schematic for the drums of the Antonelli 2376. And look what we have here. Ta-da! M225AD, which is the exact same chip. So that seems to be an oscillator, because the tempo adjustment connects directly to it. There's a capacitor here. That definitely has to do with an oscillator, which is internal to this, and this just outputs rhythms to the analog drums. I don't know, could be pretty similar to the circuitry in my Antonelli 2410. There's A, this B. Oh, this B, that is the output of the lowest octave, which we saw had a separate bus bar. So that's the B over here, which normally goes directly to A, which makes sense since A is the output of the rest of the octaves, so just add them together. But if you turn the accompaniment on, then B, the lowest octave, instead goes to this circuit, which is a gating circuit, and then B instead goes to the output of the drums, which is interesting. Something like that. So yeah, that's how the drums and accompaniment works. It's stupidly simple, but it works. And yeah, they use one mystery chip, which is a bit of a problem that this is a mystery chip. Because if this breaks, then I need to... Yeah, I guess I'll just slap an Arduino in there. Arduino fixes everything. Okay, removing these two screws should allow me to remove the plastic cover, because I'm going to guess there's a mountain of dust under everything. Well, there were 4 more screws to get the PCB loose, and look at all that dust. Yay, I am going to die. So interestingly, the switches are just springs. Same springs used for the key contacts for the keyboard. And they just, they just go into these little slots here, which is really interesting. It's yeah, that's all she wrote. And there's actually place for 2 more switches. We'll go figure. Well, maybe I want to add 2 switches for something, which I probably will. I can 3D print too. That will be interesting for sure. I like how the little axle that goes through the plastic switches is grounded. That's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna clean this up before I get an allergy attack. Now this other side is nothing much interesting aside from a sticker that I need to remove. It's just a big old switch. This has been cleaned up. This has been cleaned up. And here are all the filters. So yeah, we have our switches here. Our volume slider here, I believe this was. And then there's a bunch of filters here. There's 2 trim pots on here. I'm not sure for what. It's kind of interesting. These capacitors look kind of newish. I wonder, has this been soldered before? Looks fairly clean. These capacitors don't look as crusty as I expected them to be. One big 3.8 Henry coil, which is definitely for one of the filters. Wonder for which filter that is. First of all, of course, I was very curious to see how does this thing work. It's very simple, and well, it pretty much exactly works as I predicted it would. I am very interested in upgrading it. For example, the vibrato, which I assume is also on the master oscillator board. Now, the vibrato in this is kind of meh. It's there, but it's very subtle and sounds kind of iffy, to be honest, if I'm perfectly honest. So, that's something I want to improve, I want to upgrade. I want to add a slider or knob to set the intensity of the vibrato as well as the frequency of the vibrato. Now I'm going to see if I'm going to modify the original circuit to do that, or maybe I need to make a new circuit for the vibrato. We'll have to see. Another thing I want to look into is, well, filters. But these filters, mostly passive, are meh. They shape the sound and it's cool. But I want to add an active, resonant, voltage controlled filter. Maybe with an envelope, because I could easily gate the output of the bus using a diode and a capacitor and create a gate signal for an envelope generator. It will be paraphonic, of course, course, but I'm perfectly fine with paraphonic. In fact, I kinda like the paraphonic playstyle. So, I think I'll add that. Now that I know there's 2 spots for extra switches, I'm actually interested in 3D printing the switches and adding them. Of course, I need to figure out how I'm gonna do the actual electronics. I want to do this in such a way that it actually looks as if it was original. That would be really cool. Of course, it also means I need to find these slider caps, which is gonna maybe be a little bit hard. But yeah, I think it would be cool because this thing is so stupidly simple. It does have cool square wave vibes. I feel like I could do something cool with that. Keep it original, but give it more than it used to be. I think that would be a really cool project. Okay, I'm about ready to wrestle this baby to the ground. I had to prop it up on some boxes because of the cable. But I wonder what this sounds like with some chorus. So, yeah, I like it. Well, not much I can show, really. So, that was it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. A little peek inside the very obscure Antonelli Solista Junior, also known as the Antonelli 2410. I'm gonna have fun with this thing. I really like it. The keyboard is really nice. It's really nice. And I think this thing really lends itself to some improvements. It's gonna be fun. Okay. See you all next video. Bye bye.